everybody, and welcome back to a new video. My name is Sarah, and as you can see by our video setup, it is that time of year again where I do the tier ranking for the books that I've read during the first 6 months of 2022. I did this for 2021, I did it for January through June, and then July through December, and I had a lot of fun with it, and so I figured I would just continue. So we are, like I said, at that time of year where I get to reflect on the 37 books that I read during the first 6 months of this year. Last year, both the videos that I did had 35 books, so we're a little ahead of the game this year around. We do have the same tier names that we did for the past two videos. So the absolute top tier is My Anxiety is Chronic, but this book is iconic. After that, we have It's a Treasure. And then the next two kind of go hand in hand, where they're like the middling books where there was like I had significant issues with them, but I wanted to split it up so that I have the It's Not Me, It's You, where it's the books that have like I actually think that there's something wrong with the book itself. And then the next one, it's the It's Not You, It's Me, where I think my issue with the book is a personal thing, but I can see where other people enjoyed it. The book wasn't for me. Then we have Who Are You Again, which this tier is for the books that maybe I just forgot about the plot right after reading. Maybe I am now looking at the book in this list and I'm just like, I don't really remember, or I just found the book very forgettable in general. And then there's God No Please No, which I think is pretty self-explanatory considering it's at the bottom of this tier. So like I said, we have 37 books. These are in alphabetical order according to title, not in order that I read them through the year. So we're just going to jump right into it. So we have A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. This is the second book in the Wayfarer series. I really loved this one. And I am actually like bobbing between My Anxiety is Chronic, but this book is iconic and a treasure. I'm gonna put it top tier right off the bat, just because whenever I think of this book, it makes me very happy, and I get very emotional thinking about it, and I just remember how much I loved the characters and the setting of this story, and just the journey that the characters went through. Was really, it really kind of like dug its claws into my heart and has stayed there. A Lesson in Vengeance is the next one. This, I know some people have had problems with this book. They just didn't like really get into it, but I had a lot of fun with it. I really loved the dark academia atmosphere. I found that it was just like absolutely pulled off totally well, exactly how you want like a dark academia atmosphere to feel, and I was really intrigued the entire way through by the characters and the plot itself, and I just found myself kind of like along for the ride, so I'm gonna put it in It's a Treasure. I'm also gonna put A Tale for the Time Being in It's a Treasure. This book took me by surprise. It's one of those books, it's like a literary fiction. I didn't go in with like really any expectations, and it ended up really flooring me. It doesn't quite make it into the top tier for me, but I did really love it, just because it afterwards I just couldn't stop thinking about it. Arm of the Sphinx is going to go in top tier. My Anxiety is Chronic, but this book is iconic. This is the second book in the Books of Babel quartet. I actually, as I'm recording this, had started the third book, The Hodkin, this morning. This book solidified my love for this series, and it was everything that I wanted when I picked up the series, so I don't know, I really enjoyed it. A Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. This is a essay collection, a collection of feminist essays, and I'm gonna put it in It's Not Me, It's You, because as much as I enjoyed a good chunk of the essays. There was also there were several essays that I felt like didn't belong in this collection. They just didn't fit either. I didn't see why they were written to begin with. There was like an essay on competitive Scrabble, but then there was also an essay where I found them very important in terms of like racial issues. However, they didn't feel like they were fitting in the overall feminist discussion. So I'm gonna put it here. I'm also gonna put Disfigured in, I think I'm gonna put it in It's Not Me, It's You though. This is a kind of part memoir, part essay about the author's personal experience living with disability, but also the disability representation in fairy tales and pop culture, and how it's problematic. Now, I think that it needed to be structured differently because I felt like if it's going to be part memoir, part essay, it almost needed to be longer. But at the same time, I felt like the author kind of lost track of where they were going in each chapter, and kind of like there were stories and fairy tales mentioned, and then the problematic issue that was like part of the story didn't link to the overall theme of the chapter that it was in. They just didn't make sense. It felt like the author was just throwing that story in because they wanted to mention it and talk about it, but they didn't have any place to put it. Everything I Never Told You, I'm really sad about this, but I am gonna put it in Who Are You again, because I remember when I read it, I really enjoyed it. But looking back on it, it just didn't stick with me. I think actually I'm gonna put it in It's Not You, It's Me. I'm not gonna put it on here because I don't think it's a forgettable novel. I just think literary fiction doesn't stick with me as much as other novels. And so I'm gonna put it there. Finley Donovan is killing it. I'm gonna put in It's a Treasure because I had a lot of fun with this novel. This novel's hilarious. It's a cozy murder mystery following a mom that turns into a hit woman, and it's just Finley's just a fun character. Her internal monologue is hilarious, and this book spirals out of control and gets absolutely ridiculous. And it's just a really fun. For the Throne, I'm gonna put this in It's Not Me, It's You, because this is the sequel to For the Wolf, and it's just a duology. It just didn't like hit as hard as the first one. There was something about it. It just the romance, it didn't sell me on it as much. It felt like because there was supposed to be, there's like this whole theme of like mirrors and mirroring, like sisters mirroring each other, and it worked, and I really loved the theme in certain aspects, but there were other aspects where it just felt like things were being forced. They didn't feel as natural as the first one. House of Sky and Breath, that's where it belongs, and we're gonna move on. I'll Be Gone in the Dark. This one, I liked this one. This was really good. This is like one of my first real true crime novels. I listened to it in an audiobook, and it was super compelling. Michelle McNamara, her research and her dedication to it were fascinating. Yeah, I think it's gonna go there. Same with In the Dream House. This, like, is a game changer in terms of how memoirs are told. This was told in, like, little vignettes that were incredibly poetic, and that just packed a super hard punch. Juniper and Thorn, it's gonna go in It's Not You, It's Me. My problem with this was I went into this book with, expectations that didn't like match what the book was about at all, because I just like misremembered what I thought the book was supposed to be, and so it kind of hampered my enjoyment out of it. I do think it is a very powerful kind of fantasy horror. It's grotesque, Reed's writing style is flawless as per usual. But yeah, I just went into this with completely backwards expectations because I misremembered what the book was supposed to be about. Clara and the Sun. I'm gonna put in Who Are You again. I'm kind of sad about that. I really wanted to like this book, and it just didn't do it for me. It didn't like go where I needed it to go. I don't know. And looking back on it, it's really pretty forgettable for me. I do remember like the twist that happened like 2/3 of the way through was interesting, but a lot of this, it was just very lackluster. Know My Name, My Anxiety is Chronic, but this book is iconic. This memoir, this is Chanel Miller's memoir as she went through the trial against Brock Turner, who was a Stanford swimmer that went to just 6 months in jail for his rape of Chanel Miller. My goodness, this memoir just blew me away. It made me cry multiple times, and Chanel Miller's narration of her already super powerful words just like punched me in the gut repeatedly. This was just an incredible memoir that I highly recommend. Middle Game is also My Anxiety is Chronic, but this book is iconic. This was the first book that I read this year, and it is probably tied with Know My Name as my favorite so far this year. I just could not get over Shauna McGuire's writing. This twist that happens halfway through where like this important detail gets revealed, and then it like completely flips your perspective on everything that's happened leading up to that point. It's like mind-boggling and trippy, and I absolutely loved it. I also just really loved the main characters in this book. Once There Were Wolves, I remember enjoying this book, but it hasn't like lasted with me. It's not that like I forgot about it, because looking back on it, like I remember I really enjoyed the discussion on the violence of humans and how it leans more towards cruelty for the sake of being cruel versus the violence of nature, and how it's just nature is violent and cruel but with a sense of detachment and not anything like personal. And I really liked that kind of dichotomy in this book. It's not, I know, I didn't, okay, I'm gonna put in It's Not Me, It's You, because I did not like the, kind of murder mystery element. I felt like it was super obvious, and I kind of wished it went in a different direction. If you take away kind of the answer to what was actually going on, I loved the rest of this book. Portrait of a Thief. So this kind of goes between, because I don't necessarily think it's actually the book's fault. I think it's the marketing of this book. But that's not my that's not my fault. But it's not the book's fault either. I think I am gonna put it here though, because I went into this book because it's marketed as a heist novel. I thought it was going to be more of a heist thriller novel. And the heist aspect is done. Actually, I'm going to put well, I don't know. We're going to leave it there for now. But the heist portion of the novel wasn't done very well. But the discussion of like Chinese diaspora was done really well, and found that really interesting. I feel like these two should be flip-flopped. Like, I should move these. Can I move these? We're gonna do that. No. I don't know. We're gonna leave it. I don't know. Because these two tiers really kind of go together. And you can like, they can flip-flop. Rabbits, It's Not Me, It's You. See, and that's where this actually, I would want this like lower ranked. I think I do want to flip-flop these. I don't know. Anyway, Rabbits, I loved like where this book was going, but I felt like Miles had way too many ideas put into this book, and when it came to like tying them all together, it just didn't work. It didn't happen. Redemptor, I'm gonna go with I'm really sad about this too, but I'm gonna go in Who Are You again. I really loved the first book, Ray Bear, but this, again, this was another one where I think there was too many things that the author was trying to do in this book, and it just didn't work, and it fell really flat, and it's not nearly as memorable to me as Ray Bear was, which I'm sad about because I really liked Ray Bear a lot. Seasonal Fears, I'm also gonna put in Who Are You again, because compared to Middle Game, this book is just like, it doesn't even like come close. And in terms of memorability, I was just like, I don't, what? I also think that the scope of this novel, like, we went from something that blew way out of, like, proportion of, like, it was a universal, like, crazy, huge scope, and then the scope of this one was just way smaller, but it didn't make it pack more of a punch, you know? It just, I don't know, and it became super repetitive at times too. I was like, I feel like we've had this conversation between characters like 5 times already now. Like, we need to move on. So it could go here, but I also feel like there just wasn't anything memorable about it. So I think I'm gonna put it here. Senlin Ascends, compared to Armor of the Sphinx, see, Armor of the Sphinx I really, really love. Sunland Ascends I enjoyed. No, because it like, I think It's Not Me, It's You, only because this took the whimsical and the creativity of the world to where I expected it to go. This, we were like, not there yet. It felt like Bancroft was just like scared to go the extra mile in terms of like wild creativity. So I think I'm gonna put it there. Sweet and Bitter Magic is going in Who Are You again. I don't know. I remember liking it for what it was. It's a very just simple YA fantasy. There was nothing groundbreaking about it. There was nothing that like made me think, wow, this is super unique. I did like the magic system in it. The more I'm thinking about it, I do remember quite a bit about this book. So I'm gonna go, It's Not Me, It's You. It just, there wasn't anything super groundbreaking. The magic system and the way the magic worked and how, like, one of our characters was able to, like, feel and see the magic in the air and like smell it and taste it and everything. It was like full 5 senses, was super interesting, and I did really like that. But everything else about the story, it was just like, meh, it was there, it was eh. The Death of Jane Lawrence, a treasure. I loved this book a lot. This was really good. This took like your like gothic creepy house man that turns into the husband that's like got a questionable background, and it totally went in a direction that I've never seen before and that I found super unique and interesting. Yeah, I really, really liked it. And I loved Jean Lawrence as a character as well. The Dragon of Jinsaying. Wow, I'm really sad because I'm looking at the Akasar Falcon and the Dragon of Jinsaying, and these books didn't stick with me. I remember loving them when I read them. I really did. I found them really interesting and compelling to read. But wow, yeah, they're gonna actually, I'm just gonna do them both right now. This is the second and the third book in the Wolf of Oren Yarrow trilogy, and I just don't, I remember enjoying them. I remember they were super fast paced. I remember I really loved how our main character developed, but I don't remember much beyond that. The Hero of Ages is a treasure. I had a lot of fun with this book. There was just this absolute, like, what the hell? I don't think that these characters can get out of this. Like, I've never really felt that with a novel. Like, you always have this sense of, like, it's gonna get figured out, it's gonna get fixed. There's a way out of this. I just can't see it as the reader, but the author definitely, like, has something planned. This book, I was like, there's no way. Like, how? How? And then Sanderson managed to do it and managed to, like, have a happy ending, and I was just like, how did you do that? How did you do that? Yeah, I really liked this book. The Historian, no. No, I was so bored. I was so bored throughout this book, which makes me really sad because my brother got it for me for Christmas. So, sorry, Bryce. I didn't like this book. I was really bored. The Jan-Jun Murders. I thought this was good. This book was written in like the 70s, and it feels like a Agatha Christie locked room murder mystery. But I'm gonna put in it, It's Not You, It's Me, because I just I think it's a good book. It feels dated, I guess. But that's not a bad thing, and I think it's just personal preference. The Luminous Dead. See, I liked The Death of Jane Lawrence more than I liked the Luminous Dead. I did really enjoy The Luminous Dead. I just, like, it took me a little while to get into it. This is a very slow-paced horror. I think I'm still gonna put it in a treasure. It's like very slow paced, one of those like creeping dread types of horrors. It's a sci-fi horror, and we're only following two characters throughout the entirety of this novel. There's nobody else that like really shows up. We're in a very isolated environment, but it was pulled off really well. The Red Palace. I read this in the beginning of the year. I actually am going to put this in a treasure as well. I haven't really talked about it a whole lot, but I really liked this mystery novel. I thought that it was really well done, in terms of like the mystery and like the kind of suspense, but also following our main character and kind of the character development that she undergoes. I thought this was balanced really well in the story, and both watching her develop as a character and watching this mystery unfold both were just done really well. I also really liked the romance that ended up happening in the story. It was really sweet and fun. And just one of those like warm and fuzzy romances right in the middle of all of this like murder and political intrigue. The Twisted Ones. For Bongo, I have to put it in a treasure. For Bongo. I loved Bongo. And I loved how like creepypasta, like no r/no sleep feel this story had. Unthinkable. I don't know where to put this one. Like, there's nothing really wrong with it. So I think I'm gonna put it in It's Not You, It's Me. I thought it was really good. We follow a series of like 10 case studies of some of the strangest, most unique, like either psychological or brain injuries or illnesses that people have in the world. And it was really interesting, and our author definitely writes it in a tone to remind you like about the humanity and like that these are people, not just case studies. I remember really liking it when I listened to it. I listened to it on audiobook. It just didn't stick with me quite as much as I was hoping it would. Venus in the Blind Spot is gonna go here because I think it's me. I think short horror stories, like short story horror, is not for me. This is my first Junji Ito manga that I've read. This is a collection of some of his short stories, and while I liked some of them kind of fell kind of flat, so I kind of want to put it here. But I think the main issue is me. I just think that the short story element of these horror stories makes it so that there's just not a lot of room for like this slow build up, which is what I really love in horror. Warbreaker, I don't know. This kind of like I liked it, but I don't think it's like up here. I think I'm gonna put it here, but I don't really have anything against it. I think it's just gonna go here. Witches Steeped in Gold. Well, I think this is gonna go here. This is gonna go here. Because there are elements of this story that were really weirdly paced. I liked the overall story, and I like how we have it became where you don't really have one girl you're rooting for over the other in this like clash of potential queens. The pacing in this was really weird, and there was certain elements of the story where I was like, this should have been shown in like greater detail instead of just skating over it, and other elements where I'm like, I feel like this could have been sped up a lot. Your House on Fire, Your Children All Gone is a treasure. This is a weird book. This is super short. It's a horror novel, and we're following, if you want to read about child sociopaths, read this book. We're in this like really small, secluded German town in like the 1940s, 50s, 1950s, because it's post World War II. As these 4 kids grow up, really messed up things that happen in this town, that a lot of the town is just like, oh, that's just a thing that happens here. And it's just like, are you sure? I don't think that should be happening. But that's it. Those are all the books. These are the 37 books that I have read during the first 6 months of 2022. I think we've got a pretty good spread. Like I said, these two tiers here can really go like, they can be flip-flopped either way. I don't know. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you think I should switch any of these around. If you think, you know, any should be moved up or moved down, let me know down in the comments. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you consider sticking around and subscribing if you haven't already. But as always, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!